you open the handle to the right. When the oven door is still latched, the fan stops and it releases some of the steam out of the oven. Then you open it to the left and you can slide the door out the way. So the reason for the door sliding out the way, so that if someone was cooking in here, the door's not going to block. Okay, now just noticing that there, just be careful, see the corner of that? Like if that door did open too far, it's going to go straight into the glass. So I've just as a precaution, you know, even more reason to slide it out the way and have it there and someone open it too far and it's going to just hit right in there. Believe me, that if you just go like this, if the oven was in full motion and you just went like this, it will give you a facial that you won't want another one off, because all that energy just gets blown straight out in your face. It has a slam door, so don't need to latch it shut, it just slams shut. All the surfaces, just FYI, but this surface, all this surface and the hand shower surface is all antibacterial, so no bacteria will grow on any of this or the handle. It's made out of a composite they use in the medical field, like for instrument handles and door handles, that no bacteria will grow on this. In regards to cleaning, you'll need to come over this way. In regards to cleaning, the oven fully cleans itself within that rubber seal. Okay, so that means it cleans this side of the glass. To clean the other side, there's a clip at the top and a clip at the bottom, and you can wipe out sort of if you get dust in there, etc. The other purpose for this double glazing is that if the oven was at like 200 degrees, you can still put your hand, or you won't stick to the oven. So like little tamariki won't stick on there if they come and touch it. So in regards to inside, as I mentioned, it fully has its own automatic washing system, but like your car going in a car wash, it never washes every place 100%. There's always somewhere that it misses. So in regards to if you've done a lot of roasting, then inside here may get dirt build up, but these here all just lift out. So all these can come out, that can lift out. You would leave them in there to do a wash, don't get me wrong, but if they started getting a bit dirtier, then you can take them out and give them a scrub. Because the cleaning system may miss some of the spots in there. These ovens are brand new, so this is probably the third one of this model now that I've put in. So I haven't even had that much time to play on the one that I've got in my test kitchen in regards to doing a lot of roasting, do a lot of cleaning. So with the new cleaning system that it has, because you'll notice, Ross, it doesn't have that sprinkler in the roof anymore. So what it does is it puts all the cleaning solution and the water into the fan, and the fan just blows it all around inside the oven. So it's one less moving part. The hand shower, as I mentioned, once it reaches that red line, that's as far as it goes. So, excuse me, what I suggest if you're going to use it is that you hold on to the hose, and then you've got full flexibility of what you want to hose out, as opposed to it trying to pull back and you trying to use it like that. The hose is used for if you spilt something in the oven, or say you had done your steaming rice, you put your rice in the trays. You haven't got any rice cooking trays? Like 65 mil.
Yeah.
So
I got the under the.
Those trays under there?
Oh, sorry. Yeah. So for example, you put your rice in the tray, put your tray in the oven, then you can fill it up to how much water you want in there, so you don't walk from. I mean, I know the sink's just there, but that's another reason why. The other reason the hose is there is for if you were going to do manual cleaning, but this oven's fully automatic, so why would you? The hose is not used to cool the oven down. It has a cool down button because cold water on hot metal, it'll buckle, it can break the welding, break the seams, so it's not for cooling the oven down if it's too hot. My general rule of thumb, if you can't touch or hold your hand on here, don't spray the water in there. You'll notice the water is not working because it only works when the oven's turned on. Right, so let's go to turning the oven on. It's the button, it's the circle with the line in it. And like any computer, it takes a little while to think about where it is and what day it is, and starts up. In regards to some of the other things that are in here, this is a core temperature probe, right? So this core temperature probe is used for cooking, and you set the temperature. So for example, if you wanted to cook medium rare beef, then you would set the, and I'll show you how to do it, but you set it to like 52 as medium rare, then you put it into your meat, and then once the inner temperature reaches 52, it'll tell you that it's cooked. As opposed to guessing how long the piece of, like a rump of beef, how long is it going to take? No one, you don't really know. So it's a, you know, you don't have to worry about the old poking it and prodding it or putting a fork in it or whatever. If you, I mean, online you can get a copy of what core temperatures for what, you know, like for example, if you wanted to go well done, it'd be like 70 degrees. These are expensive. Okay, the most common way I see them get broken is someone leaves it hanging out the door and then they shut the door and this part bends. This is a very thin hollow tube. It's very much like, you know, the old transistor radio aerial that you pull out. If it gets bent, you try and straighten it, they break. So, same thing. If this bends, it can still be used. But if you try and straighten it, it'll just snap because it's hollow. So it lives in that little spring thing on the side, out the way, so that it's out of sight, out of mind. This is the home screen, right? So when it comes to doing cooking, all manual cooking is done in where the chef's hat is. So you press the chef's hat. Then you've got steam, convection, and combination. Combination is using steam and convection. Now the benefit of using combination is that you get more moisture in your meat. It doesn't shrink as much. Even if you're cooking scones, bread, muffins, rewana bread, you do it all on combi mode. Even roasting of your kumara, potato, veg, meat, pretty much everything would be cooked on combi mode. It only uses as much moisture as the product needs. It's not like you're going to get soggy cakes or soggy pies or soggy bread, nothing like that. Steam, so steaming is the obvious steaming of vegetables, steaming of eggs, steaming of steamed puddings, rice, all that sort of stuff. And then convection would generally be used for baking biscuits, or if you were doing oven fries or oven wedges, because you just want real dry heat.
Toast.
Toast is done on combi, which will show you that. In regards to setting the temperature, you press the thermometer and then you set 180, for example. So now the temperature is at 180. For your time, you push the clock, 2 minutes. So now we're at 2 minutes. If you're cooking with the probe, then that's that button there, right? So now you set the probe to 52, for example. So now we're cooking with until the probe reaches the temperature as opposed to time. To go back to time, then you press the clock, set your time, and back to 5 minutes. When you push the clock, and then you've got this button down the bottom here, which is just blank lines, so similar to like where you would write the date. Okay, that means infinite. That means the oven will just run non-stop with no time on it. You have the option of different fan speeds. So there's 5 different fan speeds. So when you touch, you can see that's the lowest setting, then that's the next one, that's the next one, and then that's on full fan speed. So you can just choose what. Generally, if you're doing like long, low temperature roasting of meat, then you'd have the fan just on half, so it's just gently circulating the air. The way I put it to people is, if you were out in the sunshine, you get sunburnt, but if there's a breeze blowing, you get windburnt, so you get burnt more. So it's more aggressive having the wind blowing around inside the oven. It's more aggressive on the surface of the meat cooking. So the softer the airflow, the nicer product you get. So that's just by touching that to what fan speed you want. I don't think there's really anything in here that you would. This is always back. So the button that's got like an arrow, like a U-turn, is always to go back a screen. So you can just push it and go back. If you get stuck with what is, for example, if you didn't know what that button there was, you can press the question mark, and then you can look for the fan, and it'll tell you that that's the fan speed. So like if you look for the fan and then it says that's the fan speed, or if you weren't sure what one of the other buttons were. So it's quite tutorial in regards to telling you everything that's on here. So basically, if you choose out of the top line what you want to do, whether you want to steam, combi, which is moisture and dry heat, or just convection, then you set your temperature, then set time, then you would push start. So I just want to show you. So the oven always preheats. No matter what you do, whether you're steaming, roasting, whatever, the oven always preheats. So I just want to show you, I'll set this really low. 50. So when you've set your temperature and set your time, nothing would be in the oven yet, because obviously the oven would be cold. So you push start. Oven's too hot here. This is what happens. It's good that it does this, but I've set the oven for 50 degrees. Okay, because I just want to show you what happens when it quickly gets to 50. It tells you then to put the food in. Because the oven's at, so I've set the oven at 50, but the oven's actually at 61, so it's telling us it's too hot in there. So even if you go to do a wash, right, and the oven's too hot, it'll tell you exactly the same thing, that the oven's too hot, and open the door. So what you do is you open the door, and it now cools itself down.
Oh yeah, it's going down.
So when you go to do a wash, it can't wash if the oven's too hot. So it'll do exactly the same process. It will ask you to open the door, the oven's too hot, and it'll cool itself down. Then it'll tell you to shut the door. So now it's reached 49. So okay.
It's assuming these fellas can speak English.
So you can see on here, right, as the time gets closer, that red clock thing works its way around. So you know when it gets over to like 10 or 11 o'clock that the recipe's really nearly finished. as in that time. Once that got down to, I don't know, 5 minutes to go, oh no. Yeah, I thought it was on 2 minutes, it was on 2 hours. So when that gets down to 5 minutes to go, that red line will be pretty much all the way around to there. So that if you were over at the counter, you can still just look and see how much time you've got without having to actually read what's in here. This information does get a lot. It does get. It's a lot to take in. But if you just remember for now, I mean, whatever you don't take in today, right? I'm more than happy to come back again. That's no issue at all. Because
do we have to stick a time in?
No.
No, we don't.
No.
We just
So when you go to time, you can choose that, right? So now if we push start, I'll change the temperature so that will go a little bit hotter. Okay, so now it's running with no time. So it's just running continuously. And that's still just preheating, so.
Because would that be like, do we have a book to say like it'll cook so many chickens at...
Oh, sorry.
Oh,
No,
sorry.
not in regards to that, but yes, the manuals for the oven are, Ross has got those,
Okay.
but in regards to cooking chickens, generally it will cook 1 or 10 chicken, or however many chickens you can fit in the oven. It takes the same time whether it's 1 or 20. So it's about an hour and 10 minutes to cook 20 chickens or 30 chickens or however many you can fit in there. In regards to that, I'm saying generally you would fit like one there, one there, one there, one there, and probably one. Yeah, so you get 5, because to try and cram 6 in is just too much, it's too full. So then you've got 10 shelves in here, which you would have to skip. You would have to skip a shelf. So if you started with 1 on the bottom, and then 1 there, and then 1 there, 4, 5, you may get 6. So 6 sixes, 36 chickens at once. In an hour and 5 minutes. Hour and 10 minutes. So on that note, you would push combi mode. You would set your temperature at say 175. Okay. You would set your time for an hour and 10 minutes. Okay, and you'd push start. And then the oven would preheat itself and then tell you to put the chickens in there, and you just throw the chickens in there.
Does it tell you when it's on screen?
Yeah, so if we do that,
Put the chicken.
So you push that.
okay, so it's preheating. Once again, as it preheats, that's the temperature in the oven now. That's the temperature that we're after. So once that climbs up, that'll just slowly get round and round and round until it gets to the top. Then it'll tell you, it'll beep or make its noise and tell you to put the food in. Not the chickens, but I'll say put the food in.
Then the red,
Because it doesn't know we're cooking chickens at this stage, right?
the red one will come on for your time.
Correct. So as soon as, so that's what I was trying to show, I was going to show you before. When it reaches, it's when the preheat reaches around there, right? It'll tell you to put the food in. When you open the door and put the food in, as soon as you shut the door, it will go to that. I did it manually because it hasn't reached the temperature. But as soon as you put the chickens in and shut the door, it then starts the hour and 10 minutes that we set it for.
And it can't be opened.
Pardon?
It can't be opened.
Yeah.
Just don't singe your eyebrows.
Yeah, that's right. You've just got to remember, I don't think you were here when we talked about that. So the first stage you have to open it to there. Right? It's telling us the cooking's paused because it's in the middle of a program. But you see the fan stops, you still can't open it, so then you go and slide the door. Because if you just open it, all that steam will just burn you. And as you would all know, steam has to cool to 100 degrees before it turns back to water. So that's how it burns you, a lot more worse than just hot water. So that's the program that's cooking there, which you can stop it just like that. So now we've stopped it. Say we were cooking just one tray of chickens in there, right? So I'm going to start that again. So say we're cooking one tray of chickens. You can go back to the home screen. You don't have to have it on.
175.
Yeah, so you can go. So it's going to cook at 175 for an hour and 10 minutes. You can go back and press. Now these are all the shelves in the oven. Oh, let me show you that again. So it's cooking one tray of chickens, right? And now if you are just cooking one tray, put it in the middle. Don't just put it up the top or put it down the bottom. Put it in the middle, because then you get more even airflow around inside the oven. And then work your way out. So first tray in the middle and then work your way out like that. So say Auntie's cooking a tray of chickens in there, and someone else wants to cook some potatoes or do something, right? So you can push that button, right? The clock with the lines. And now this brings up all the trays, all the shelves that are in the oven. So someone's gone and put their potatoes up the top here, so you can go, right, I want to cook them for 25 minutes. So now that timer is for the potatoes. And then someone wants to cook something else down the bottom, so you can go down here and cook something for 8 minutes, and someone's got one 5 minutes. So now you've got all these different timers cooking different things. So, for example, whoever had put that tray on shelf 2, right? If they're at the toilet or out doing something else and that finishes, you guys would know that it's the tray that's at the top. It's not the one at the bottom, because it's that tray number 2.
The shelves are all numbered now.
Yeah. The shelves have all got numbers on the front. If I decided that my potatoes are cooked, then you can just push that X and it just takes it away again. But we've got other things in here, so like you can just turn them off. Once that timer reaches 0, that flashes red and the alarm sounds to tell you that the timer's finished on rack number 9. Yeah. I just want to show you, so if you did open that oven like this, right, that would just like fully blow out into your face. Okay, now we get into the tricky stuff. Say, push the chef's hat. Say we want to
Scones.
I just want to do it. I want to show you how to. I'll do a program for boiled eggs, right? So boiled eggs. Just on that note, you can get your tray of eggs with the eggs in it, as in the cardboard tray, and sit the tray straight in there on the shelf and steam your eggs in the tray. The tray doesn't get wet or anything like that because moisture is only attracted to cold. So the egg attracts condensation because it's cold, but the tray doesn't because it's just cardboard. You will get moisture where the egg sits in that little tray and it drips into the bottom. You'll get some moisture in the bottom of there, but the tray doesn't turn into wet, soggy newspaper or anything like that. So the other way of doing it is you can empty the eggs all into one of those steamer trays and steam them in there, but you're just double handing them. You might as well just take the cardboard out of the oven and chuck them in the sink of cold water, if you know what I mean, rather than take them out of the tray and into that and then out of that. And, yeah. So just a trick for young players, you can just steam straight in there in the egg tray, right?
You don't have to have a pot with water in it anymore.
No. Anything that you used to cook or boil in a pot, you just steam in here. Steam puddings. While we're on that note, steam puddings. You can cook.
Where did you buy these pots again?
You can still. you can still steam in a tin, right? Because you just sit your tins on the shelf. You would still get 6 tins on a shelf, but you may only get like 6 there, maybe 12 at a push. But I suggest that you grease this with butter or whatever you want to do, grease spray, and then put your mix into there, and then you just steam them straight in like that. You don't have to cover them with foil or cover them with paper or anything like that. The benefit of steaming your steam pudding in this, as you would know, is that you can portion it up, and then Rangi will only take one instead of half the tin. But yeah, so that's the benefit. That's the benefit of doing your steam pudding in a tray, because then you know exactly how many portions you've got, etc. You can still steam all different things at the same time. So you can steam some veg, your steam puddings, the eggs, the fish, whatever you want, all in the oven at the same time. You don't get transfer of smell or taste in these ovens. For example, I do a demonstration with these, because see how this says ACS. These ovens have what's called an advanced closed system, and I know this is probably a little bit technical, but what it means is if you put a pot of water on the stove without a lid, and it will take quite a while to boil. If you put a pot on there with a lid on it, it will boil much quicker, and it'll boil faster rapidly because all the energy is kept inside the pot. Same thing when this door is shut, no air can get out. These vents don't go straight into the oven, they go through like steam locks. Even the drain in the bottom has a reservoir with a water trap, so nothing can get down there air-wise. So that means that when the door's shut, there's very little oxygen inside the oven. And oxygen is what transfers smell. So, for example, I do a demonstration where we'll be baking croissant in Danish and roasting garlic and onions and everything at the same time, and you don't get garlic taste in Danish because there's no transfer. So that means anyone can be cooking. Obviously, it has to all be cooking on the same mode. You can't be roasting down here and steaming up there or whatever. It all has to be the same mode. But people can. Now, in regards to that, when just going back to those timers, because a question gets asked and I'll answer it, you may be thinking, when you on those timers and all different things are in there, that means different people are opening the oven. The timers stop. When the door opens, the timer stops. It's not like it keeps counting down, so if the oven got open 10 times, then 2 minutes has come off your time. It just means when the door's open, the timer stops, so you still